There are a lot of people who have questions on Judaism, questions on the religion, questions on the legitimacy, and the main question: is there any proof that God exists? Is there any proof that the Torah is true? Is Judaism a true religion, or is it nothing more than another religion? Like, I'm Jewish and somebody else is a different faith, a different religion. Is there anything different by us than by any other religion? And a lot of people, because these questions, they don't really connect to Judaism. Because if a person looks at the Jewish religion as just another religion, and there's nothing different than Judaism and Christianity or Islam or any other religion, is just another faith, and happens to be, I was born Jewish, so I'm Jewish, they don't really connect to the religion. They don't connect to the Torah, they don't connect to Hashem, and it's a very sad life. And a lot of people, because they feel that way, they don't really practice Judaism. Or they will be traditional, and this they will keep, this they wouldn't keep. Maybe I'll keep Shabbos, but I'll have my phone open, and etc., etc., etc. So the question is there any proof? And the answer is yes. I can prove to you the existence of God, and the Torah is true. And this is what this speech is made for, to prove that Judaism is a true religion, and it's not just another faith out there, and to prove to you the existence of God. Now, I would like to begin with a story that I heard from somebody who became a Baal Tshuva. So there was this guy, he grew up in America as a Jew. He didn't know nothing about Judaism. His parents told him he was Jewish, that's about it. And his belief, basically, his way of seeing the world, is that everything is nature. He never heard of the concept of God, of Creator, just everything is nature. At some point, he started dating a girl. And as he was dating the girl, it went by a while, and the girl told him, if you want to continue seeing me, then we have to get married. And if you want to marry me, you have to convert to Catholicism. I think all of you know what Catholicism is. It's one of the divisions of Christianity. So basically, she's a Catholic. Therefore, she only wants to marry a Catholic. So if you want to marry her, you have to be Catholic as well. So he thought to himself, I never got into religion. I don't know what religion is all about. So maybe I could convert to Catholicism. So he went to a Catholic church, and he went to the priest, and he told the priest, I'm thinking of converting to Catholicism. But before I do that, I want to ask you one question. Can you prove to me that anything that this religion sells is true? What did the priest answer him? No, I can't prove to you anything. It's fate. So the guy was like, so if it's fate, means that is nothing. It's basically a belief system. It has no foundation. So why would I become Catholic? Just because it's a belief. Because the word faith means when somebody believes in something that can be proven. So why should I become Catholic? So he went out, no, I'm not becoming Catholic, and he broke up with his girl. And at that time, something awoken in him, and he became very curious about religion. He thought to himself, whether half of the world or most of the world are religious people, is there anything to it? Are people just following a blind faith and everybody sings it on a different tone? Or is there a religion out there that has some proof to it? So he started to explore. So he went to a Protestant Christian, and he went to the Mormon Christian, and he went to the priest with the same question. I thinking of converting to this religion. The only thing I want to know, can you prove to me that anything you're saying is true? And they answered, no, it's faith. So he went to Islam Imam, which is an Islamic priest. It's called an Imam. And the same question and the same answer. So he started exploring further. He went to Indian religion, the Hindus, and all whatever name their religion they have over there. And same question and the same answer. Every religion gave him the same answer. So he went to Chinese religion, the Buddhas, and he was searching for every possible religion there's out there. And everybody answered him the same thing. There's no proof to this. It's pure faith. And the whole time he knew that he's Jewish. But he had no clue what a Jew means. And he kept on thinking, maybe I should go to a rabbi and ask him. But he was like to himself, meh, what, the rabbi will be any different than any other religion? Why would he be any different? It's just another religion out there. And something in him kept on pushing him, no, go to a rabbi and ask the question. So finally he pulled himself together and he went into a shul, went to the rabbi and told him, my parents told me I'm Jewish. I don't know anything about Judaism. I don't know what a Jew means. And I have no problem starting to learn about Judaism and starting becoming an observant Jew. I only have one question. Can you prove to me that anything that the religion is selling is true? And the rabbi answered him, yes, I can prove to you. When he heard that, he became all shocked. Like here he just went around, literally the entire world. Every religion told him the same thing. No, it's pure faith. And here he hears there's one person saying, no, there is proof to this. So he became curious. I want to hear. And the rabbi explained to him the proof. And of course he became a Baal Tshuva, and today he's an amazing observant Jew. So the reason why I like the story is because this person went straight to the point. He went to the foundation. Everything is built on a foundation. So before I'll continue talking about the story, I would like to get to the point, what is the proof? And then besides what is the proof, we have to understand what proof is and how do you know that proof is real proof. So the proof to Judaism is Yetzias Mitzrayim, that we got freed from slavery in Egypt. Exodus. That is the ultimately strongest proof. Now, how is that proof? Because when the Jewish people are sitting down Pesach at night by the Seder, and people are telling the story of Exodus, of the Exodus, what are they saying there? My father told me that his father told him, that his father told him, and so on and on and on, going back generation to generation, from father to son, all the way to the person who claims that he saw this, that it happened to him. He was in Egypt, he was a slave, and he saw all the Makkahs, he saw the 10 plagues, and he witnessed the splitting of the sea. He went through the sea and he received the Torah on Mount Sinai. And he gave it over to his son, what he saw, and his son to his son until today's days, over 3,300 years later. So it's not like one person says it, and it's not that some people claim there was one person who saw it. the claim is that 600,000 men above age of 20, plus women and children, have witnessed the same thing, and they passed around the 2 generations. Now, if you want to claim that this is a made-up story, now let's say what you want to say is what? How did the Jews end up sitting down Pesach at night and telling this story? If the story never happened, how can people say that they saw something that they never saw? How can people say that their father told them that they saw something they never saw? So you want to say that how did it happen? That somebody came and convinced a whole bunch of people that they saw something that they never saw. Or they should start saying that their parents told them something that their parents never told them. Okay, I hear that. If that's the case, how come there is not a single religion out there who has anything similar to that? If you ever studied religion, every religion in the world besides Judaism is based on one or two things. Every religion is basically based that one person came and said, and a whole bunch of people believed him. And that's how the religion came to existence, and that's how the religion continues. Some gained more people, some gained less people, and most religions that exist vanished, but it's all based on the same story. There are some religion that the religious people and the religious leaders don't even know where it started. They just know it's tradition, it's legend. So it's basically all religion in the world is based on the same factor besides Judaism. Now, if you want to claim that this is a made-up story and there exists the possibility for somebody to convince people to tell a story that happened to them, that they saw, that they never saw, how come nobody else tried it? Look, it's a working strategy. Everybody that's trying to create a religion wants his religion to be a long-lasting, strong, big religion. So if you see you have a solid working strategy, why don't you copy it? Take a group of people, make up a story, and convince those people that they have lived through this story. It works, but nobody else did it. Why? Doesn't that make you ask the question, why? The answer is very simple, because it's impossible. You cannot take thousands of people and convince them that they saw something that never happened. It is simply impossible. So the only way possible that the Jewish people are sitting down, passing on this testimony that they received from their parents all the way back, is only possible because it actually happened. And that is the ultimately proof, the strongest proof of all. Now, to add on to it something that the Torah itself wrote in Deuteronomy, Devarim, not sure if I pronounce it correct in the English version. The Torah says, you will not find any nation in the world, another nation that will claim that their nation was pulled out from another nation through wonders and miracles. Now, in today's days, when we have the internet, everything is open. And you can research any religion you want, and we have data and people studying religion that is long gone. Some religion that there are documents, some of them there are speculations, but there are, I don't even know how many. I think today's days I hear that there's like 5,000 existing religions, but combine all that we had in the past, there's tens of thousands. And not a single religion has the claim what the Jewish people claim. Not a single of them. So the question is, why, if Judaism is not a true religion, why the person who wrote this Bible, which, if you want to believe, is just a made-up story, why risk it? Why would you write something that, what if somebody else will come and find a religion that has a similar claim? Then everybody will see, oh, look, there's another religion out there who says the same thing. So that means Judaism is just another belief. So the whole thing will collapse. It doesn't make any sense, especially in those days when the world wasn't open and we didn't know about all other places in the world and it wasn't so easy to travel around. How is it possible to know, how can you do the research to know what other religion are claiming, and all the religion before that and all the religion that will come in thousands of years later? So if the person who wrote the Bible wanted it to have a long-lasting religion, why would you write something that could literally demolish your whole religion? And that's the answer. Because it's true. And when it's true, you're not afraid of writing what it is. And if it's written in the Torah, means you're not going to find it anyways, because the Torah is true. And God wrote the Torah. I mean, Moses wrote the Torah, what God told him. Therefore, he was not afraid to write the truth, because it's a true religion. Now, there's more proof. I'll give you an example. Another thing the Torah writes about false prophets. It says in the Torah that if somebody comes and claims that he's a prophet, and then it turns out that he's not a prophet, because what he predicts doesn't happen, then you have to stone him to death. Now, in any other religion, it doesn't exist such a thing. It's not only that in general, religion are based on people who claim to be a prophet, but they never proved it. So why would you write, if he's a true prophet, how do you know there exists such thing as a true prophet? In order somebody to be a true prophet means he has to predict something is going to happen, and it has to happen. Not just one thing, because one thing you can say a guessing game. A few things together, and everything has to come to exact way that he described as going to happen. Then you know he's a real prophet. Because how can a person make so many predictions? So if you're not afraid of saying there exists such thing as false prophet and real prophet, what does that mean? There exists such thing as true prophet and false prophets. Because other than that, you're just risking a thing. Because if the whole Torah is based on false things and just made up stories, why would you create such thing or try to create such a thing as a true prophet if it doesn't exist? So there you go. Another thing, if you look in Nach later on, when they said that, when the prophet said that the Jews will be exiled first for 70 years, and it happened. Doesn't that make you wonder, why would you make this bold prediction that in 70 years the Jews will return to the land? What if it goes by 70 years and the Jews don't return to the land? Then the whole thing collapses. If you promise to people something and it doesn't come true, then why would they continue to follow your religion? So if it's just a made-up story and the prophets who say there were just nothing more than false prophets, then why would they risk it? Your whole legacy will fall apart. Nobody will remember you. So if they said it and it happened, why did they say it? Because they knew it's going to happen, because it's true. And not only that, if you look at any other religion, every religion in the world is always busy about the coming world. The entire religion, the entire concept, everything that's going to be good or bad for you, and whatever you have to prepare, it's all for the next world. The Jewish religion, the Torah doesn't even talk about the coming world. It mentions and hints it a few times, and then Enoch, it will be hinted a little bit more. But it doesn't really talk about it. It doesn't go into it. Why is that? Because every religion in the world is based on false, just somebody made up a story or made up a religion. It's not even a story. Therefore, he cannot prove to you anything he's saying. So he's telling you on the coming world, because the coming world, he can't prove anything. So I could tell you anything I want, what's going to happen to you after you die, and there's no way you can prove it. There's no way you could disprove it. So whatever I say is I said. So, classical way of how to get people to follow you is start telling them, if you're not going to believe me, you're going to go to hell. And people are like, oh, okay. And they just follow you. But Jewish religion is not based on the coming world. Yeah, there is such a thing as a coming world. And yesh din v'yesh dain, everything a person does will have to answer in the coming world. But that is not what the religious is focused. The religious is focused on this world. You see something happening, make it right. Here on this world, bring justice into this world. Do charity on this world. Everything is based on this world. And that's the reason why the Torah is not afraid of making predictions and saying things that is going to happen on this world that you could prove or disprove. Because if it doesn't happen, then you know, hello, you said it, then I see it's not happening. Because it's a true thing. So, now going back to the story of what I started. The person that asked the questions, he went straight to the point, to the foundation. Because this speech, this is the foundation of Judaism. It's what Judaism stands on. If you create a whole religion, if you have a whole religion, it's a whole belief system, but there's no foundation, and what does it stand on? Imagine somebody builds a skyscraping building, but no foundation. I will want to stand as far as I can from that place. And not only me, you also. It's dangerous. Everything starts by its foundation. The strong foundation it is, the taller you can build a building. So when you go to any other religion, what is the religion based on? Nothing. It's pure faith. But Jewish religion has a foundation. So when this guy went around asking the question, he was asking the foundation. Because a lot of people go around asking questions. It says over here like this, and it says over here like this. Okay, this is all very good once you establish the foundation. But first you got to establish the foundation. What is the foundation of this religion? Now I know people would like to hear more proof, and I will bring it. I will talk about it. But first I want to talk about what is proof, and then we'll come back to more proof. The question is, what is proof? How do you know that proof is proof? So to give you an example, in a court, how does a court work? So let's say like this. Let's say here they found a dead body, and you can see in him somebody murdered this person. Now investigators come, they make a whole investigation, and they try to determine who the person killed this person, and then after a while they have their evidence, their thing, they're building on this and this person, accusing him that this person killed that person. And they bring him to court. Now, what if the person denies, I didn't kill the person? No matter what you ask him, he denies it. No, I did not kill this person. And not only that, he could claim, I never saw this person. So the prosecutors come and they bring their evidence, which the evidence suggests that this person killed that person. I don't know how familiar you are in the court system, but in the United States, there exists this concept of evidence beyond reasonable doubt. What does that mean? Because there exists such thing as evidence, but it could be weak. but then exists evidence it's beyond reasonable doubt. It does not make any sense that it didn't happen. So every court system in the world has established a certain set of evidence that could be used in court. What the court recognized that is actual evidence. Now, if you want to claim that you can't prove anything, that means a person can go in front of 10,000 people and punch somebody in the face, and then the police could bring the person into court, and that person will deny it never happened. But 1 second, there's recording cameras, he did it, 10,000 people are willing to come testify that they saw it happening. Like, let's say there was a concert, somebody walked up to the stage and punched the person singing. And he could just stand denying, yeah, the guy bribed everybody. And the people love him, they're big fans, and he told everybody to say like that. So if you want to go in that direction, then there's no reason to have courts. There's no reason to have courts, there's no reason to have a government. And everybody can just do whatever they want, and anybody can kill whoever they want, if that's the case. So apparently you understand there exists such a concept, what means evidence. And the evidence has to be so strong, it should be beyond reasonable doubt, not just evidence, it should be beyond reasonable doubt. So I'm not saying that the court is actually following this rule, but that is a whole different discussion, doesn't come in here. But the principle of it, that evidence has to be strong. Because there exist certain things which were studied and it proves, this thing is a proof, meaning it's evidence beyond reasonable doubt. So to say in other words, the word proof defines that it's evidence beyond reasonable doubt. So for instance, by a murder case, let's say you saw a person was stabbed, and then you go to the suspects and you find the knife, and you find blood from the dead person on that knife. How did that blood end up in that knife? And I'm talking about if there's proof that the knife actually belonged to that person. Now he could claim somebody framed me, yeah, but how did your knife that you own end up with blood stains from that person? And so on, so on, so on. I'm not going to go into details. If you want, go study how evidence works. I'm just trying to bring out the concept of how to establish evidence, how to establish proof. So the same thing over here. When I come and represent you, or not me, your father, and represent Judaism, it comes with evidence. Now, you're the judge to decide whether you're going to believe him or not. Because in every trial, whether the judge, jury, it depends on each country, how the system works, the people who have to make the decision decide whether they want to believe him or not. The same thing over here. It's your choice to decide whether you want to believe or not. But what do you want to believe? The evidence. Not just faith. It's not just random. There's evidence. Do you want to believe the evidence or don't you want to believe the evidence? And that is a choice everybody has. Now, of course, a person can be biased. Because if a person doesn't want to believe, you could show him black and white something and he will just deny it. It could be so clear and he will just deny it. Why? Because if it opposes his whole agenda, let's say he doesn't want to hear this concept of not eating pork. Now, if I start believing in the Torah, I have to stop eating my pork chops or whatever it should be. Now, he doesn't want to give that up, so therefore, there's no evidence. Or other things, he doesn't want to feel obligated to anything the Torah tells him. And it's very funny, I've never heard of an atheist saying, I don't put my money in the bank. Because if you say, I cannot prove it, and the proof is not valid, then how can you put money in the bank? What if the banker decides tomorrow, I'm going to wipe off your account? She's going to steal your money. You're going to wipe off your account. Tomorrow you're coming into the bank, you want to withdraw money, you want to take out. The bank says, I have no recognition of you ever opening an account there. The banker can't do it. If the bank decides to do it, they can do it. And what are you going to do then? So aren't you afraid of it? So why are you putting money in the bank? The answer is because you trust that there exists such thing as a court system, and if the bank will try to do that, you will take him to court, and they will have to give you back the money, plus a huge sum to it, and the legal fees. So what happened over here? You're trusting the court system. Because if you wouldn't have trusted the court system, you wouldn't have had a bank account. So that means whatever is comfortable for you, convenient for you, whatever fits your agenda, there you believe. And whatever doesn't fit your agenda, there you don't believe. You're picking and choosing whatever you want to believe. And the reason why I'm saying it, because everybody believes in something. The question is in what? The Rambam writes it, Maimonides. Everybody believes in something, the question is what, and everybody trusts in others on different levels. For instance, the bank, the court system. It's not that you trust the bank so much, you trust the court system. Now, to go back to more evidence, which I know a lot of people like to hear more, and a lot of people are like more educational, as they would say. First of all, what I just said, all the evidence is very educational. It's a chain of evidence. If you ever studied law or anything like that, there's a lot of education in it. But some people want to hear more archaeological proof or scientific proof. So let's start with archaeology proof. First of all, archaeology is a very weak way of proving something, but it could be proven. I don't want to get into it because it's a whole discussion for itself. But just to say it in short words. In Israel, they have found so many archaeology proof that statistically it's impossible that somebody went around putting all these things such a long time ago. And that's the way all these things happen, only if it happened. I would like to start with a story with that also, with somebody who became a Baal Tshuva. There was a guy who grew up, just knowing he was a Jew when he went to Israel to study archaeology. Israel is very good in archaeology, very good schools for that. And he wanted to become an archaeologist. After he finished the whole college and they graduated, the last thing the professor told him, now that you guys know how to evaluate all archaeology things, where do you think should be the next place we should dig? The next place we should look for archaeology evidence that the Bible is talking about. And that was a non-religious professor, somebody that denies that God exists. So the guy thought to himself, I don't understand. If you want to tell me that everything the Bible said exists somewhere to be found, because they found so many places, they just didn't get to dig up entire Israel, that means it's true. Because how is that possible that there should be so many places that the Bible said something happened and you dug up over there and you saw it happen? To say it in other words, there hasn't been a single thing that they found, an archaeology thing that they found, that contradicts the Bible. So the only way you could say that you might claim that archaeology can contradict the story is if you find something that opposes the thing. But so far it hasn't been that way. And the only thing they did find was evidence that showed that the Bible said there was a city over here, and you dig up over there and you see it's more or less the way the Bible said. Meaning to say more or less because it's impossible to know from details. And as I said, archaeology is it's a whole different discussion. Maybe I'll make a speech about it one day. But you haven't found a single thing that contradicts it. So what does that mean? That statistically it's impossible that this is just made up. Apparently it happened. Now, scientifically, first of all, to say in short words, the Zohar wrote about a similar thing, what the Big Bang Theory is. And he wrote that based on what the Torah writes, that Bereshis bara Elokim, that God created the world and the heavens. And the Zohar was published a few hundred years before the theory of evolution arose. And not only that, the Maimonides, the Rambam, also wrote very similar. And he said, because the Torah said that first God created the world, he created the earth and heaven, and then he created the earth, and then he created, the whole chain of every day creating something else. That means that God created an energy, and from that energy, other things came out, and that's how the whole world and the whole universe came to exist. And he also lived a nice couple hundred years before the evolution theory came to be. I mean, somebody came up with this evolution theory. I think his name was Darwin. I don't remember it now on top of my head. So that is just one little part of the evidence. Because how did they know? They didn't study anything. They didn't. How were they possibly able to know this kind of things such a long time ago? If you know the whole chain, how even Darwin came to create this whole theory. And then to prove just the factor of God, the existence of God. So far, nobody has ever seen something coming out of nothing. Everything that you see, then it comes out of something. Because it is impossible for something coming out of nothing. So the theory that the world was created by itself is all based that it was this first subatomic particle. Now, how did that subatomic particle came to existence? So you want to say it was a random event. So there was nothing anywhere. Everything, there was nothing. And out of nowhere, it popped up a subatomic particle. And mysteriously, that subatomic particle started reproducing until a whole universe or multiple universe and everything came to existence. It simply doesn't make any sense. Because apparently if something came to existence, that must be that something brought it to existence. And that thing that brought it to existence is infinite. And because it's infinite, we cannot comprehend what it is. Now, if you want to claim, no, it does make sense that something just came to existence out of nowhere, how come nobody has ever saw it? Not only that, the United States government, as far as I know, has spent hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars through the years, giving to colleges certain funds, which is directly made for this, that they should be able to prove that something can come out of nothing. They spent tremendous amount of money. And they didn't get anywhere. Now, why are they so obsessed to spend so much money on this one particular thing? Because it contradicts what the atheists are trying to sell. Because it doesn't make any sense that something should come out of nothing. And if something cannot just come out of nothing, I mean, if something can come out of nothing, how come nobody sees it? How come it doesn't exist in the existing world? Because random doesn't exist. The concept of something coming out of nothing is the concept of random, and that thing doesn't exist. And they're trying from every way to, the atheists are trying to protect their dignity in their way. And as the only way they could try to succeed, which they will never, when trying to rip out religion from the world, but they need to have something to base it on, and they have nothing. So they're trying as much as they can. Let's spend as much money, of taxpayers' money, which this money could go for good causes, to try to prove something that will never be proven in order to try to save themselves. And it doesn't work. Why is that? Because God exists. And He was the one who created creation. He was the one who brought something into existence. And He is infinite and we are limited. Therefore, we cannot understand an infinite thing. So now, to come back what I said before, the evidence is out there. Evidence that God exists. Evidence that Judaism is a true religion. There is so much evidence, and I could actually give a whole other speech for I don't know how long of bringing you evidence. Well, the person is the one who has choice. God created this world and He gave people choice. And you're the one who has to choose. And now you have a reason why to believe. And you have to look at yourself how many things you do believe, because everybody believes in something. And the same way I explained to you about opening a bank account, that you trust the court systems. So go look at other things. And don't try to fool yourself by saying, okay, this I will believe and this I wouldn't believe. And just accept the fact that this is true. And to add on to it, don't think that Judaism is a bad thing. No, it's a beautiful, glorious thing. And anybody that is religion observant and lives with connection to Hashem actually has a very glorified life. And their life are so amazing that living without connection to Hashem is so worthless and so dead and so nothing. So this is just adding on that people might feel like, okay, I'm afraid because if I start believing in God, then I have to give up all my way of life and, I have to give up my pork and whatever I'm doing, all my other desires and temptation, which is forbidden according to the Torah. Yeah, you give up these things and you gain for it way, way better. And if you don't believe me, try it and you see it to yourself. I hope you all understand, and if anybody has a question, try to send me an email. I'll leave it in the description below, and I'll try to make time to answer. And just know, if you have questions, I can answer. If not me, there are a whole bunch of other rabbis that are willing to answer. Have a wonderful day.